Fight!
Alright, so if you've been watching me for any time at all, you've probably heard me say multiple times that when I was a kid, I always wanted action figures based on many of the Nintendo characters, and they just really didn't exist, not the way I wanted them. But recently, it's almost as if the toy gods have listened to my pleas, and they're smiling upon me because we have had so many really cool action figures based on Nintendo characters. Now, a lot of these figures, while fantastic, are a bit pricey because they're mostly being imported from Japan, and they feature several interchangeable parts, high articulation, beautiful sculpts. So don't get me wrong, I'm very happy with them. They're fantastic figures, but I also understand that not everybody has the budget to buy $50 or $60 6-inch action figures. Well, I think the toy gods are smiling upon us once again, my friends, because here's something I did not see coming. Jakks Pacific has started a new line called World of Nintendo, where they're giving us 6-inch and 4-inch scale action figures based on many of our favorite Nintendo characters. And the best part is that these can be found in regular retail stores, and they're incredibly affordable. And we're going to check out the first offerings today, being the deluxe figures of Bowser and Donkey Kong. The new World of Nintendo Deluxe figures come in these window box packages that fully showcase the figure within. It's got a really nice wraparound window so you can see the figure from most sides. Bowser comes in a red box while Donkey Kong comes in a bright yellow box. Flipping those boxes around to the backside, you get closer looks at the action figures, but below that, you also get a glimpse at some of the 4-inch scale figures that are also coming out in this particular line. Mario, Wario, and Link all round out the first series, and in my opinion are definite must-haves. But we'll get to those in time. Let's go ahead and start by taking a look at these two deluxe figures. Removing them from the package, the first thing I notice is how massive these guys are. They stand right about 6 inches tall, but because of their designs, they have a lot of heft to them. I mean, just look at Bowser in my hand. This is a huge chunk of plastic. He's also got a lot of weight to him, so he doesn't feel cheap or light. He actually feels quite hefty and very nice. The paint jobs are bright and colorful on both of these figures and do a pretty good job of capturing the look of the characters from recent video games. Really great sculpt work on here too. You can see Donkey Kong's got that big grin on his face with his teeth showing there. He's got the little curl on top of his head, and of course the signature DK red tie hanging around his neck. While Bowser's got a bright yellow and green paint job with the flaming red hair kind of sticking off the top of his head there, bushy eyebrows, and of course he's even got those bands of spikes wrapped around his arms. The figures look really good, and again, the size just kind of blows me away on these guys. But let's go ahead and run down the articulation on them. It's actually very minimal, with them being listed as having both 9 and 10 points of articulation respectively. So let's go ahead and start with Donkey Kong here. The head's on a joint that allows him to look both left and right. He's got nice ball joints at the shoulder, so the arms can go outwards, move up and down. He's got standard bends at the elbow, and then his wrists have just a hinge joint, so the wrists, the hands there, can just move up and down. He's got a nice ab crunch articulation in the torso there, and then he's got the same type of ball joints at the thighs, but you'll notice that the lower legs are kind of sculpted in a bent pose there. There's nothing on the knees. And then the feet just have the ability to swivel left and right. Now, the articulation still works pretty good on this guy because you're able to pull off both the pose with him with his knuckles down on the ground and a good gorilla stance, but you can also get him standing upright with his arms up over his head, or even some nice little chest pounding poses. So even though he's not super articulated, the articulation still functions very well on this guy to give you some really good and basic Donkey Kong poses. Now, Bowser's articulation doesn't function quite as well as Donkey Kong's. The head is static, so you can't turn it left or right. Part of that is because of the sculpt of the hair going down over that big shell there. The shoulders are on the same type of ball joints as Donkey Kong, so the arms can move outwards, forwards, and backwards. You have a standard elbow bend, and just like with Donkey Kong, the wrists just have a little hinge, so the hands kind of move up and down, but they don't swivel. He's got nothing in his body, it's just one big solid sculpt, and then his legs have that same kind of ball joint at the thighs there, so legs can kind of go outwards, move forwards and backwards, and then the tail is on a swivel so you can rotate that left and right. Now, with this guy's build being as big and bulky as it is, you're definitely not going to get a lot of different poses out of him. Even though his legs can articulate with the little ball joints there at the thighs, there's really not a lot of ways you can pose him standing since his feet are only flat in one particular pose. But you can still get his arms kind of raised upwards or outwards and get some really nice menacing looking poses of Bowser kind of towering over his foes. So speaking of towering over, one thing that's really cool about these guys is that they are in scale with the rest of the Nintendo universe there. So those other figures are all going to be in the 4-inch scale, and that means these guys are going to be a lot bigger than them. Now, I haven't actually located the 4-inch scale Mario yet to show him standing alongside these figures, but the first thing that came to mind when I saw this massive Bowser was that he might fit in perfectly with the recent SH Figuarts Mario that was released. And I was right. Look at this guy with Mario. The scale is pretty much perfect here. He looks awesome standing alongside him, and even though his articulation isn't going to be as good as that little Mario, you can still get some really great poses with Mario kind of doing battle with Bowser here. Heck, you can even get some Mario vs. Donkey Kong action. I mean, technically these are two of Mario's all-time villains, so you can get these guys on your shelf pose with your SH Figuarts Mario. We're likely not to get a Bowser in that line, so if you have the SH Figuarts Mario and you want a good Bowser to stand in with him, this is definitely a great one to add to your display. Overall, I'm really happy with these figures. The paint jobs are pretty good on them, with only some little sloppy spots, mostly seen on like Bowser's shell, but overall, they look really great. They're bright and colorful, they have decent articulation, they have great sculpts, and they just feel so big and hefty. And the best part about these is the fact that their price tag is a lot smaller than some of those more expensive, highly detailed Nintendo figures we've been getting coming out of Japan recently. So if you're looking for a more affordable way to add some really cool looking Nintendo action figures to your shelf, these World of Nintendo figures from Jakks Pacific seem to be what you're looking for. I can't wait to get the 4-inch figures to also take a look at those, but I can tell you for sure these deluxe figures of Bowser and Donkey Kong are certainly worth picking up. These are already starting to hit store shelves right now, and they seem to be flying off fast, so happy hunting, and until next time.